I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm joined with Ryan from How I Roll, and we are doing a video, but we don't yet know which video we're doing. Basically, today, actually, before I do basically, Ryan, welcome aboard. How's it going?
It's going very well. Thanks so much for having me on your channel today, man.
What was the most exciting thing that happened to you this week?
The most exciting thing, this one's easy. I was like social media guest down at RageCon in Reno, Nevada,
Nice.
which all of it was a blast. But probably one of the coolest was that I got there early and late because my flight from Canada is tricky. So I just went in, had a sleepover at Johnny Pack's house, the designer of Coloma,
Nice.
Unconscious Mind, lots of other great games. And he's just like the coolest dude ever. And we went to the park and played this weird lawn game called Coob.
Bocce ball? Oh, I wish you said bocce ball. I love bocce ball.
Yeah, I love bocce ball, but I'd never played it. It's called Coob. It's like these wooden blocks, and you throw these. Anyways, it was just a legendary time, and is really Johnny's just like one of the chillest, most down to earth guys, and we had a blast
He's
hanging
very
out.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about
fun
you?
fact,
Anything
random
exciting
story,
this week?
random story. I'll answer that, but random story with Johnny Pack-Anton. He has, and I don't even know if I've told him this directly, but he has entirely affected the way I do my channel. Like, it's all exclusively down to him. And I don't know if he knows this. It's because way back when I first started doing videos, I didn't even do reviews when I first started, but I did have a series that I've been doing to this day called Games Leaving My Collection. And in my first or second Games Leaving the Collection video, I got rid of a game called, I want to say, maybe Sierra West, I think that sounds like the game, but I could be wrong. But it's a Johnny Pack design. And I said, I'm getting rid of the game. And when I was talking about this, I was like, I'm getting rid of this, I'm getting rid of this, and I got to Sierra West, I think that was what it was. And I was like, man, I hated this game. This is not good. And like, I got rid of it, fine. And then Johnny Pack, who I didn't realize this, but he was someone I traded games with. I just knew him. I didn't realize he was a designer. So he kind of reached out on BG. He's like, oh yeah, sorry, Sierra West didn't work for you. And I was like, oh no. Like, I just, like, on camera, I was like, I hate this game. And it was so much more intent. It was so much more emotion that I didn't really feel. Like, it's so easy and casual to say I hated that, when in reality what I meant was it wasn't a great game. And I'll stand by the fact that I don't think it was a great game, but I certainly don't think I hate it. And it kind of made me realize there's a person on the other end of the review. There's a person that has to, like, look at what you say, and you should say what you actually mean and don't just be, like, over the top about things.
Totally.
He's affected my entire channel.
Wow. Well, I'll make sure when we post this that I send this to him and he'll know the impact he had.
Now, that aside, going back to the original question, as far as things, speaking of Canada, you mentioned Canada, most exciting thing to happen to me is I live in a timeline where the sky and the leafy greens are both trying to kill me. So, I don't know, do you know about the leafy greens?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, long story short, for those watching, some of you know, some of you won't, but I live in Cleveland, Ohio, where Canada is currently sending the raging wildfire smoke drifting across. It is currently, like, you cannot see the sun outside, and it smells like barbecue. This is a nationwide warning to, it's going all the way down to Philadelphia, people in New York. It's a little crazy right now in the U.S., depending on where you live, with the Canadian smoke trying to kill everyone. And then separately, Cyclospora. Cyclospora hit Michigan. Michigan the hardest. I think Ohio has the second highest number of cases. But it's basically exploding diarrhea. It's a virus going around that affects the leafy greens and possibly raspberries, strawberries, various veggies. The Oreos are safe. Oreos will not try to kill you. The vegetables that we've been told our whole life are healthy, those are currently trying to kill us. So that's the timeline I live in. The sky and the leafy greens.
You're switching over to a cookie-only diet for the next.
I mean, I was
while.
already on a cookie-only diet, so I'm pretty safe, actually. No, joking aside, I have lettuce every day, and I can't right now.
Yeah. The funny thing is, not funny, but anyways, interesting thing is I live in Vancouver and I haven't seen any smoke. So I actually live in the country that's producing
Well, you're upstream.
Yeah. So I'm okay here, but we've had that in BC. We get so many forest fires every year, and often we're filled with smoke, and it is it is no fun. So I understand what that's like. So sorry.
Anyways, Now that we've got a news update that no one asked for, let's go ahead and dive into the video. Today we are doing a Gen Con list, some sort of Gen Con list. We don't actually know which Gen Con list we're doing because there's one on my channel and there's one on Ryan's channel. When do they go up? In what order? At the same time? We haven't determined any of that, so you get to find out along with us. But what we do know is we're doing two different lists of a Gen Con 2026. We are doing a recommended list, the games that we in some way recommend, probably because we've played them, but maybe we played a different iteration of them, but we're telling you we think this game is good, check it out. We might be wrong, but it's our opinion, so go jump in the lake. But outside of that, we're also doing another list, which is going to be games that we personally are interested in. We probably know a lot less about those games. In some cases, there's lots of information. In some cases, very little information. And in some cases, there's lots of information, but I don't want to watch 3 how to play videos to figure out more about it. But in any case, there are going to be 10 games that we personally are interested in, and 10 games we're recommending. And we're about to find out which lists we're doing now. So, first of all, go ahead to Ryan's channel, How I Roll, and subscribe if you want to see the other list. By far more exciting than this list. But this list, Ryan, should we do heads, the games we're recommending, and tails, the games we're interested in?
I love it.
I'm going to flip, catch, and back my wrist. So, heads, we said, is the games we're recommending, and it comes out as heads. We are doing the games we are recommending today. Gosh darn it, I wish I had prepared for this video. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and we have 10 games 10 games each. Ryan, did you order your games by how much you're interested in, how much you're recommending them?
So on both of these lists, I went through and made a short list. By short, I mean like a long list of all the games. So I wrote down everything I played out of the like almost 600 titles, and then I broke it down to my top 10, and then I put those top 10 in the order of like 10 through 1. So yes, mine is very
Perfect.
ordered. How about your? I'm getting the vibe that yours might not be as ordered.
No, mine's ordered. Mine's ordered.
Okay,
10 through
good.
1 in each case, or 1 through 10, depending on which way we do it. But I think 10 counting down makes sense. We'll do 10 counting down. Why
Yeah,
not?
save the best for
So
last.
with 10, what's it called? Let's go ahead again to channel by channel. Let's have I'll go first on my channel. We'll go from there. So my number 10 is a game that and this is interesting because I didn't necessarily rank them based off of what rating I would give. There's a kind of excitement level I would say that are around them. But these are all games. Every single one of these games is a game that I have actively played. Yes, making sure. Yes, every single one of these games is a game I have played. Some of them you're seeing at Gen Con for the first time. Some of them you have been available at other conventions, but they're still newer. Some of them were in crowdfunding, and they're now showing up where you can go ahead and finally get them in person. All of those are options, but my number 10 is going to be Everdell Emerland. Everdell Emerland is a weird one for me. Have you played it, Ryan?
I have not played this one.
Have you played Everdell?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yes. So Everdell Emerald is a weird one for me because my review was the way I put it is I gave it a reluctant 5 out of 5 because I loved it. It was great. It was just as exciting as any other Everdell I've played, but it's also like the fourth one and like the third one in the past. Like I feel like Tycoon games in the past few years have been Everdell, 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 just putting up minor tweaks on the same game. And like I still love all of them. I do have a ranking within that system, but I still do love all of them. And I think Everdell Emerald is probably my second favorite. Probably. Like, I do really like it. It's a very solid one. I just, by the time I reviewed it, I was like, okay, it's Everdell with more minor tweaks. I'm just not excited about it. But, like, I still would rather play Everdell Emerald over nearly any other game on the shelf. Like, I still would. It's just that it's an adjustment. And for that same reluctance comes through here. It's my number 10 on this list because it's like, it's more Everdell, but it is a good version of Everdell. Do I think you need to upgrade to it if you already have Everdell? No, I think any version of Everdell is great. Are there small minor adjustments that you might be excited about? Yeah, but try before you buy, especially if you do have Everdell. But if you are new to the Everdell series, I think it does have a vibrancy to it. I think it's very easy to dive into. I think there's a nice little kind of like little mini Arnak track situation going on that like it's fun. It's a nice little addition to the game. But as far as vibes, presentation, mechanics, it is still an excellent game that I highly recommend you check out, unless, of course, you have too much of it already.
I think this one looks cool. Now, I need to do like an honest confession that I've never done publicly, but I haven't played that much Everdell in my life, and it doesn't. I don't think Everdell's bad. I think it's a cool game. It just doesn't connect with me as much as it seems to with other people. Especially the original. I have a friend that's got that giant like $300 box with all
Big
this
box.
stuff, and the production is so cool. Everything looks so cool. I love the theme. I love the way they package it and all that. And I just wanted to like it. Like I like it, but I've wanted to like it more than I like it. So as a result, I haven't played as many other versions as other people have. But I did recently play the Silver Frost one, And
Yep.
I liked that quite a bit more than OG Everdell. So it kind of made me think, oh, maybe I should be trying some of these other versions.
Well,
And
out of
Emerland was
curiosity,
definitely,
did you
pardon
play
me?
the original Everdell once and then Silverfrost, or did you play it multiple
No, a
times
couple
and
times.
Silverfrost?
A couple times,
Okay.
yeah.
And the reason I asked, the only reason I ask is Everdell is actually a game that I bounced off of when I first got it. I got Everdell, people loved it. I tried it, and I was like, don't know if I love it. And then I kind of
Yeah.
got rid of it, and then a while later, I kind of had second thoughts. I was like, it looks so cute. Let me try it again. And diving into it again was when I started to like really fall in love with the system. But I kind of needed my expectations adjusted before I enjoyed it.
I think I've probably played the original 3 or 4 times. Now, that would have been over the span of a number of years because it's been out for a
Yeah,
bit now. Um, so I might need to revisit it, but I definitely want to try Emerald. It looks cool and heard people say some pretty positive things about it. So
excellent.
great, great number 10. So my number 10, I didn't give these like numerical ratings like a 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 like you did. I just put these in order. But my number 10 is, and this was also on my top recommended for Origins. I have a couple crossover with that. Is from Pink Hawk Games and it's called Good Kitties. Now
Oh,
I got to,
nice.
yeah, I don't know if you know Emily Vincent. She made
Yes,
Pirates of the High
Pirates of the
Teas.
High Teas
Yeah, so
and Knitting
I was
Circle.
at OrcaCon in Seattle, just a couple
Fun
hours from
fact:
here.
she's going to be making a showing higher up on my list, just with a different game.
Oh,
Yeah,
is it? Maybe is it
we'll
Pirates of
see.
the High? Well,
We'll
we'll
see.
see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Um, so I actually haven't played Pirates of the High Teas, but I've heard about her. She's been on my radar. But I was at OrcaCon in Seattle, hanging out with her and the Flat Out group and Joseph Chen and some of them, and she busted out this game, and we played it together. And it was obviously much earlier in development then, but it was just really cool. Like to me, it feels almost like it almost captures that kind of dungeon crawl cooperative game where you're trying to level up or add abilities and such, but in like a cute and pretty streamlined format. And one of the things that's the coolest about it is it's almost one of the most cooperative games I've played because you actually share like an action point pool with your team. So you don't just say, hey, we each have 3 action points. You have a collective pool and then you kind of negotiate, well, who should do what. And so you work together a lot, which in some ways could be boring if you're just sitting there not taking actions, but it's, creates a lot of good conversation around what you do. So Good Kitties. She was, I think, showing it off a bit at Origins. She'll be showing it off at Gencon. It's a really cool cooperative game.
And it's not too light, or
I mean, it's like lighter
I don't mind
than,
light per se, but
yeah. I think it's like, I wouldn't call it light. I also wouldn't call it heavy. I guess there's a word for that, medium. But I, uh, I didn't think it was too light. And, I only played one scenario, so there might be more to it. So I don't know how deep it goes or not. But as far as just like initial gameplay goes, it was pretty cool. And that was on like a prototype version. So
yeah.
she showed me at Origins how they're developing the pieces and it's getting better and it looks like it's gonna be a cool game that I'll probably want to have in my collection at some point.
Yeah, it's one that I was interested in, but I wasn't sure. Like sometimes when you have like certain theming, it might not be light, but it appears that way. And I was
Yeah,
interested in it, and it's good to hear they liked it.
yeah, that's
Perfect.
great.
My number nine is arguably on the lighter side, and that's probably why it's my number nine over here, but it's still one I definitely recommend and want you to know about. And this is Lairs from KTBG, Kids Table Board Gamings. Lairs is a two-player game in which you're basically building a dungeon that your opponent's going to then kind of navigate through, fight monsters, fall into traps, and hopefully escape, or hopefully not escape because it's your opponent. Meanwhile, your opponent's doing the exact same thing to you. So you kind of have this pre-building phase where you both build your dungeons, and then you have these kind of these cubes that you're using for your actions as you try to decide how to move out and try to find things in there. So you're kind of up to the deviousness of your opponent as you build a little trap system and try to like play mind games with them, have them not escape, find the right treasures. But then it layers onto that the idea that these treasures you get are not just points, they also can have abilities. But then the best part is you're constantly opening boxes. You play the game, you're like, ooh, that was fun, but it's not really enough. And so you open a box and suddenly there's new monsters you can have, there's new traps you can have, there's new abilities, new escalations, new different action tokens with different actions attached to them. So you're constantly evolving the game. Even though it stands right now, I've probably played the game like 10 times or something like that by now. And there's still multiple boxes left to uncover and explore and figure out what else is going on in the system. And every time it's just like this new thing of, we played it, okay, what can we add now? So it's a very
Yeah.
fun game. I do think I'm biased by the unlocking. Anytime you have unlocking a game, I kind of want to play it until I've done all the unlocking. So I am curious where it'll land. Like once I've done all the stuff, I think I have enough plays that at that point it will be up to like my daughter to lead the charge and whether she wants to table it. For right now, I still am enjoying like finding new things and trying it. But hey, any game that you can get 10, 20 plays out of is already a pretty good return on time.
I am such a sucker for like, but wait, there's more. Like unlock this, do that. Um, so even games in my collection where I'm like, oh, it's okay, but they put out an expansion that looks cool. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll like that game more than I already liked it. Layers is a little bit frustrating for me because I I've always thought it looks awesome. I've seen everyone say it's awesome, and I've seen it played in
But
real life, but I haven't actually played it, and so I'm a little bit. I did actually think Sean said he was going to send me a copy, but he hasn't. So maybe he forgot, or he doesn't like me anymore, or something. But
he probably
uh,
doesn't like you. Yeah.
yeah, well, I get that a lot, you know. But the it looks like that game looks so cool. It looks like it basically took the Battleship kind of concept and
Yeah,
made it
yeah.
into an amazing game. So
Honestly, Battleship is a great comparison. That really is what it is. Like it's that kind of experience. And again, it is a little on the lighter side for me. I think the thing that keeps me there is the unlocking. I definitely enjoy it, but I don't think it's one that will be in my rotation once I'm done with the exploration.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's like the when as I was watching and talking to Sean from Burnt Island or KTBG or is it KTBG? Am I saying that correctly? Yeah.
KTBG. Yep, yep.
They it looks like the game is kind of endlessly expandable. Like there aren't really any walls or barriers around it. You could probably easily make a legacy version and add in all kinds of add-ons and all that.
A
So
legacy
I'm
version could be fun.
yeah, I'm assuming as they like if it continues to do well that they'll probably pump out content. So anyway, someday I'm going to play that. That's a good recommendation. My number nine, actually, it's funny. I did just realizing this now. I also played at OrcaCon in Seattle in January, just a bit before it came out. And also, I already mentioned the Flat Out group, but this is a game from Joseph Chen called Honeypot, which I believe is out now. Good Kitties that I mentioned is not out, but Honeypot is out now. Um, and if if you were to say to me, hey, this is like an animals bluffing card game, I would be like, okay, that doesn't sound like those aren't like kind of top mechanics for me. But I played it and it's awesome. And basically the setup, have you played this game, Alex?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So basically that setup of like passing cards and then the people it's not like Sheriff of Nottingham where you just have to straight up be like, you're telling the truth, you're lying. You're just trying to stack the deck in a way that trips up your opponents. Like they either push further into the deck or else they stop too early and they can all see what you're going for. And so you're trying to manipulate people and not make the wrong passes and let people have good stuff. So we played at OrcaCon and I think we played and then we're like, this was awesome. So then we played again right away, and it was a really cool experience. So I definitely recommend Honeypot from Joseph Chen, which I think it's probably published. I looked it up. It's probably published by Flat Out Games. Yeah, it is.
It's definitely Flat Out Games, hell yeah. Well, my number 8 is going to have Flat Out Games getting a lot of love this video because my number 8 is going to be the Emily Vincent title with Flat Out Games. It's an upcoming one. It's Perennial. Now, this is not going to be available to buy. I should note, honestly, I should have given the shout out at the beginning. This list, at least in my end, I don't know where you got your titles from. I assume the same, but I grabbed these from BGG's Gencon list, and I went
Yeah.
through the various games. They have the games that are available to buy, to demo, all these different options. So, like, some of these are games you can purchase, others you can just see, try out, and all that. Perennial is going to be in the latter category because this one's going to crowdfunding shortly, but it's another game kind of from Flat Out Games, similar to the Cascadia line of puzzly, how do you optimize your score. I believe it's designed by Emily Vincent, who we've talked about, and it's definitely the heaviest one I've seen her design, at least so far from what I've touched. But Perennial is going to have you planting flowers, basically. What you're doing is across 4 rounds of play, you're kind of selecting tiles with this interesting, polyomino element where you kind of select a polyomino grouping of flowers, and then you get this tool of the polyomino shape that you later will be using again to place them into your own personal board. But then from there, there's a million ways things score. You're going to be scoring for groupings of flowers. You're going to have various critters that point and want certain flowers in different columns. You're going to have variable scoring cards that will give you different reasons and incentives. You're going to have various lawn features and ponds you're putting into your landscape that will all score in different ways. And so it becomes this mind game of how do you get the right tiles, how do you place them in the right way, how do you optimize like 17 different scorings, not 17, it's like 9 different scorings, like how do you optimize 9 different things to try to get the most out of it. It is definitely on the crunchier side, and if you like Cascadia adjacent, I think it's going to fall into that category.
Yeah, I looked. So I did the same as you. I went through the BGG preview list for Gen Con. My hope is that these lists kind of maybe narrow down people's search so people don't feel like they have to read every one of the 600 games, and hopefully our recommendations steer people a little bit or give them a bit of idea. Um, this game I haven't played, but I definitely remember looking at and reading about it. Unfortunately, on BGG, there aren't pictures and there isn't a ton of info about it. So I wasn't really able to consider it for my anticipated list, although I think Emily's awesome. I think Flatout awesome, and the game sounds interesting. I just haven't had a chance. So it's cool you got to play it. I will take your
Yeah.
recommendation
Fun
under
fact,
consideration.
had we recorded this video when we were originally planning on recording it 2 weeks ago, it was originally in my interested column, but it
Oh,
got moved over because I've played it since then.
yeah, because of the delays, I had to make a couple edits as well. So that's pretty funny. That's great. My number eight is I do. We haven't any crossover yet. I'm interested to see if we have any crossover. This one, I'm sure it would be on a lot of people's lists. Um, and again, these are any games from that BGG preview list, which I will make the exception. I do on both lists. I think if some companies had a game that was like 12 years old or something, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think I added those in these lists. These are things that are
Agreed.
mostly newer, upcoming. But anyways, my number eight is part of a huge hit, and that's the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers trick taking game from Office Dog. And I'd heard all the hype about the Fellowship of the Ring, the first one, and I played it, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." Then Asmodee sent me the Two Towers trick taking game, and my wife and I have played this a bunch. She's not as into heavy games as she used to be, so a game like this is perfect. She loves the Lord of the Rings lore. I think cooperative trick taking is a lot cooler than I thought it was going to be when I first heard about cooperative trick taking. At first, I was like, I don't know, but it is really cool. And I love how the complexity ramps up. I love a lot of the mechanics they've brought into it, but particularly how much story they've packed into a box that's like, just tiny, like that big.
Yep.
It to me is absolutely incredible. I as I'm talking about this, I'm like, man, I need to find time with my wife to keep playing this game so we can see how the story unfolds. But I just think like they kind of crushed it with the system. They've done a great job with both editions of this yet so far, and yeah, I love it. So definitely would
And you
recommend
played the
checking it out.
first one?
I haven't played
Yeah.
through the whole first one, but I played a number of like maybe four scenarios from the first one. I was like, oh, that's cool. Then this one I've played more. So
And then also have you had a chance to play the new crew?
no, I haven't.
Cool. That's
Have you
because
played it? Yeah.
they're leaning into that campaign-ish aspect, similar to the way Lord of the Rings did.
Yeah. Have you played the new crew?
Yeah, yeah, I like it. I think they all have their own place in a different way. I think I still, at the end of the day, I most prefer. In fact, actually, let me do this. My number seven is the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers trick taking game. So
There you go.
almost back to back. I mean, well, back to back, but almost the same pick. But
Yeah.
yeah. So now that I've done that, now I'll keep talking about it. So yeah. So Lord of the Rings: Lord of the Rings: The trick taking game. I think it's great. I do think that Two Towers specifically is better than the first one. I think it's more nuanced and interesting characters with more kind of things that change up the experience. But both are phenomenal. I have played through and finished the first one. I have not finished the Two Towers yet. I think I'm like 10 missions in, 9 missions in, something like that. I'm like halfway through. But it's a very solid one that is really, really enjoyable, and I highly recommend it. The crew kind of leans to the same idea as being that campaign-esque aspect to it, although arguably more so. Like the new crew, is specifically is a linked series of games, not just like a play them one at a time in order. But in
Cool.
both cases, I'll say that I find that the crew quest of Planet Nine, whatever one, or no, Undersea, the crew mission Deep Sea is my go-to when I just want to pull one off the shelf to play a game or
Yeah.
two. The other ones fall more into like sequencing with the same group. Like you could play them in any order. Like in the trick taking game, the Two Towers, you could just grab it and play any mission at any point. I don't do that so far. I find I play them with the same group and I go through them, and that's the way I enjoy it, even though there's no actual continuation outside of just choosing a mission. But they're very
Totally.
solid.
Yeah, I feel the same way that I love playing the story mode of it, but if someone was like, "Oh, I just want to play a scenario," I wouldn't want to play the first scenario with them because it's way too easy. But it doesn't feel like it feels kind of weird or clunky to just be like, "Oh, let's play scenario 6 or whatever."
Yeah.
I also just think the the titles of these games are hilarious because they're like 30 words long. So
I have talked about this. The Lord of the Rings, the trick taking game, the Fellowship of the Ring. Like it's like just we gotta do something, guys.
well, I'm
Anyways,
thinking about this video. I'm probably going to add in like Alex number 7 and then the title. I'm going to have to like make the font minuscule to fit this
yeah.
in. They actually, I
Uh,
talked to the people at Studio Big and they were like, actually legally, we had very little leeway on what we could title it. So I was like, oh, that's crazy. But
nice.
anyways, good number 7 pick. Just that's a funny crossover back to back there. My number 7 is a first time design by a brand new publisher slash design combo, and that is Estate Raise the Realm. Have you played this game?
No, no, not even
So
familiar with it at all.
yeah, I met them last year at Origins when I was working for Dan King, Game Boy Geek, making videos there. And they reached out and asked for me to do, Dan calls it Rules School, but anyways, the how to play video on there. It's actually my first like published how to play video. And by the way, I'll say disclaimer, none of these are like affiliated or sponsored shout outs or anything like that. So it doesn't really matter. But obviously games I've played or worked on have more exposure to. But yeah, really, really well done. I'm so impressed nowadays how there are some first time designers showing up and doing a great job. It's this really cool worker placement engine building game where basically you have your own player board where you're taking cubes off to strengthen kind of the three or is it three or four core actions you can do. And as you play cards, you kind of drive that engine. It's neat, it's tidy, it's got 5 rounds with scoring objectives along the bottom of the board that you're competing for throughout the game. Um, yeah, it's nothing like, no wheel was reinvented or whatever, but they got good theme, good art, good production, and they took some solid mechanics, put it together in a game that not only makes sense, but works pretty well. In fact, RageCon that I was just at had this in their hot games section, and it was getting some play. So it's funny. A couple times I walked by the table because RageCon like had listed like how to play videos for their games in their hot game section. So a couple times I walked by and just would see someone on their phone like watching me or whatever, which is kind of cool. But yeah, anyways, Estate Raise the Realm. It is for sale, and they're going to be showing it off at Gen Con, and they were at Origins with it as well.
Perfect. Very nice.
Yeah,
I know nothing about this one except obviously what you said, but
yeah,
I'm interested.
yeah. It's cool.
My number 6, I believe we're up to, is, are we up to 6? I think so. That sounds right. Yes, my number 6 is a game I actually picked up at Origins, but it's still new enough, and it's going to be at Gen Con, and this is Sizewise. Sizewise is a tiny game from Gamehead, designed by Scott Brady, if I'm not mistaken. It is a game which you are measuring the size of things, but you're not actually measuring the size of things. You're guessing the size of things relative to other players. Have you played this, by the way?
Well, so yeah, here's my funny story. I'd never played it, but at Origins, I walked up. Some people were playing it on that media night at the
Yeah.
start, and so they had me. It was the giant size wise. So they had me the rope, and they're like, "How big is a jet ski?" So obviously, I just put it to the maximum size, like max it out. And I'm like, "Well, jet ski's pretty big."
Obviously.
And then they're like, "You lose," and I was like, "Oh, what?" And so, anyways, then once I
Yes.
understood the idea, I played, and it's pretty cool, just trying to kind of be in the middle there or whatever.
Yeah, it's like Green Team wins, but with measuring things. You're trying to not
Yeah.
guess how big you think a thing is. You're trying to guess what do you think other players are going to do, and don't be the shortest or the longest yourself. Which sometimes means things like there's some of these questions I've gotten. I'm like, a walrus tooth is like gotta be pretty long. Like I'm guessing a walrus tooth is like this long, but like there's no way people are gonna say that. So like I'm gonna go over here, even though they're definitely wrong. But then you get a point, and you get a point because you realized other people are wrong enough. But it's very, very fun. It's very quick. It's a game that I've played with my game group. I played with my kids. Everyone enjoys it. It is surprisingly addicting, and I definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting comparison to Green Team Wins because Green Team Wins, you actually want to be like quote unquote right, like agree with the vast majority, right? But in this, you kind of want to be like out of agreement with people in the right way. So it's a little bit like deduction of like who you're playing with and what you think, like how big do you
Yeah,
think Ryan thinks a jet ski is, So that's a cool game.
yeah, cool, cool.
So my number 6 is a game that I've just now played for my first time, so it's brand new to me. And it actually I just kind of connected with Last Night Games at Origins, and they sent me a box of games, and I am very impressed with all of their games that they've made and that they're putting out. But this one is called Honeycomb Hustle. Are you familiar with Last Night Games? They make
No,
Panda Royale. Do you know Panda Royale?
no.
Oh, all of it's cool. They're just these cool little. I kind of wish it was nearby so I could show you. These cool little boxes. By little, I mean like kind of medium sized boxes, kind of like Garfield, slightly smaller than Garfield boxes. But they have really good production quality, really cool design, and their games are interesting enough yet like accessible enough. So I think they're trying to make games for kind of family weight, but that have something you could sink your teeth into. So Honeycomb Hustle is a bag builder where you're trying to build out your honeycomb, and it's one of those ones where all of your chips go into your bag every time. So you're drawing fresh, you're not kind of cycling through, kind of like Orleans or whatever. And every round you all draw out and you build the biggest honeycomb you can. And then if you're the furthest behind, you'll get some kind of catch up mechanism. Whatever you've got, you can spend to produce honey and all that. And you're doing that thing where you're drafting chips to try to get the coolest honeycomb, but then toward the end you got to just start kind of like piling in on trying to get the honey pots, which are the things that are really worth points. So it's really neat. I think it's like, again, it's interesting enough for me that I would play it with like my board game friends, but I also played it with my family, which includes an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Nice.
And they were able to, we help, especially my 5-year-old, with some strategic choices, but they were able to go through the mechanisms and play it. So yeah, it's really cool.
Very cool. My number 5 is probably one of the heavier ones I have here, or at least definitely one of the biggest table presents, and that's going to be Blood Rage Valhalla, which I think is going to be available for sale at Gencon, which feels fast because I feel like crowdfunding was still somewhat recent. But Blood Rage Valhalla is Tycoon Games. They took over, and similar to Everdell Emerland earlier, they took over Blood Rage. Unlike Everdell Emerland, I'm not yet burnt out on Blood Rage. So Blood Rage Valhalla was basically, Blood Rage came out maybe 2016, 2015. I don't remember. It's been a while at this point. It's an older title. It's a great title. I've seen lots of play in my collection. And Blood Rage 2.0 was kind of teased for years. And when eventually Blood Rage Valhalla was coming out, with designed by Eric Lang, same like team effectively, except instead of Simon, it was Tycoon Games. But this one takes the general concept of Blood Rage, gives you a new board, which is potato as far as the board goes, although definitely was a lot of uproar around that. But the actual gameplay gives you the kind of similar style to Blood Rage with tweaks that I think are general quality of life improvements. And the main thing is you shift up the variable gods. So you kind of have different decks of cards that are in rotation, depending on which gods are on your table, which really provides a new spin. You can't just have the same strategy every time you play because it comes down to the combination of cards you're drafting. But this is basically an area control game, plays out across 3 rounds, draft your cards, go into combat, build up your tableau and your asymmetric abilities, gather these epic monsters, slam them down the board, kill everything in your way. Lots of fun, and I really enjoyed playing Blood Rage Valhalla. I had a chance to play the prototype of this one, and I'm looking forward to people being able to get it and try it. I think there's a lot of skepticism as to whether it's really worth, like, is it really doing anything new, or is it just like a cash grab? And I think it's doing enough things new.
Yeah, as you're talking about this, I'm kind of like second guessing that I didn't put it on my top 10 anticipated, not to offer a spoiler on the other video. Definitely was looking at it, I was like, this is cool. I think that whole series with Blood Rage, Rising Sun, Ankh was cool. Ankh was definitely my least favorite of the series, even though I hoped it would be cooler than it was. But they're all solid. The series is great. How he does that is great. His designing is awesome. So I haven't played this, but I'm pretty excited to. So I'll have to check it out.
The way I put it for most people, if you like Blood Rage and you can look past whatever initial biases you have, like, I think this is a very good game.
Yeah. Do you think you like this more than the OG, or would you stick to the
Yes,
original?
but that's an unfair comparison because it's not that I like it more per se. It's that it does everything Blood Rage does, and then the biggest change for me that's a quality of life improvement is the variable cards. Instead of being stuck in this rotation of the exact same cards, you have
Yeah.
different decks to mix it up. Choosing these 3 gods, there's a different flavor to the cards you're drafting. I love
Yeah.
variability in game engines, and this gives me that. The other things are things that I still think there are some pretty good changes, like there's some small, like you get less cards, but you can save more cards round to round. There's things like that. Those are kind of like less sure how I feel about them. I need more plays, but the biggest change is just that variability.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm excited to play that. My number 5 is from Lucky Duck Games, and it's called Oakspire. I'm assuming you've played this,
I
but
have.
it was at Dice Tower West. Scott Morris from Lucky Duck slash now he's
That's
got
why I
Steel
played
Wing.
it.
Yeah. Okay, that's funny. Um, it makes sense. He was scheduling in some different people, but I sat down with him and played it, and it's just again, it's not no wheel is being reinvented here, but it's a nice production, cleanly done, a system that was so easy to learn, yet was like pretty still like lots of really good decisions to make. I love how the engine builds. I love kind of the progression of the resources down the river. To me, all of it was just a designer taking some beloved mechanics, put it into really great production, and a game that, although I wasn't like, wow, they had this revolutionary thing, felt fresh enough and new enough and cool enough, and I really enjoyed it. It's a game that I didn't back it, but I probably the type of game I'll probably wait for retail and add it to my collection. But Oakspire
Yeah,
number.
my favorite thing about it was the sheer number of cards as far as how you can add things to your tableau, and so the small little edge benefits you get, and just like the drastic different gameplay experiences you can have because there's so many cards you only ever having a handful of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just a great, neat, like tidy Euro game like that, and I loved it. So yeah.
My number four is yet some more flat out love, and this is Cascadia Alpine Lakes. Cascadia Alpine Lakes is the newer version of Cascadia, and I like it arguably just as much as Cascadia, which is a nice thing to say because I find Cascadia and Calico are very often my go-to picks when I'm like, the game's like Cascadia and Calico, and I've been saying that for like at this point, 4 years, whatever it is. Like it's a non-stop, it's always those two are the bars. And Alpine Lakes is different than Cascadia. I think it is less accessible. Cascadia would still be my go-to recommendation for somebody else, but if you like heavier things, you want a bit more meat to it. They managed to maintain the core structure of Cascadia. You have these different terrain types, you have different animal types, so to speak. But now the cards are for the terrains instead of the animals. The animals have their own different flavor to it. But you're building up effectively is the main hook. You're building up and scoring differently because of it. It becomes very, very crunchy, especially if you add in the optional, I can't remember what they're called, but these extra scoring cards that give you more goals. And that really enhances just how meaty this thing is. Like, I've had so much fun playing through the prototype of this. It's everything I like about Cascadia taken to another level. Pun not intended, but I guess intended because it goes up, you build up to another level. But it really does take that scoring thought process to another level.
Yeah, it looks cool. And can't believe how much I've talked about OrcaCon on this call because OrcaCon's not even that big of a convention. But at OrcaCon, Randy Flynn, Joseph Chen, Flat Out, Emily Vincent, Beth Sobel, they're all there. And it's a smaller con, so we were just hanging out a bunch and playing games. But I was talking to him about, Cascadia World, the upcoming stuff. It all sounds great. I haven't taken as deep of a dive into the Cascadia world as a lot of people, so I probably wasn't as hungry for this one, and thus haven't tried it out yet. But I am, as always, excited to try it because anything new coming out of a pretty popular, solid game like that to me is always worth checking out for sure. So
Well, so one of the nice things about Cascadia is like not everything has been a win. Like I love Cascadia. I think Cascadia Junior, frankly, was a miss. I like Cascadia roll and rights; those are fun, but like they're not amazing. They're a good roll and write game. I like the Cascadia expansion, but again, like I like it. I don't love it. Alpine Lakes is the first time that it's been like another 5 out of 5 since the original Cascadia for me.
all right, fine. I'm convinced. I'll try it out. Um, okay, so I am not. We're on number four, right? Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Um, I'm not the type of person who, like, there are people out there who try to not like games that are all hypey, and I'm not like that. But I also sometimes am a little leery about just hopping on the hype train. And so there's this one game that I kept hearing people talk about, and I was skeptical. I was like, is it really that cool? And that's Cozy Stickerville. And then Studio Big, who I mentioned earlier already, gave me a copy, and I brought it home. I was like, I'll try this out with my daughters. And man, it is like it has been like so. What I'll say about this game is it's fun and it's interesting, and the choices you make and the way it builds out is cool. But on a larger scale, has been such a cool family experience playing with my wife and my daughters. And it's cool because you don't need everybody every time. You can change the team. So my 8-year-old and I have been consistent every time, and the rest of the family has kind of cycled in and out. But it's just so cool and so well done. And um, I kind of remember like playing Charterstone back in the day, and Charterstone was a game that I had high expectations for, and it was okay. Not probably one of my least favorite Stonemaier games, probably my least favorite Stonemaier game I've ever played. To me, this the story works. It's engaging. Even if we have a gap between when we play one of the games, we still are coming back. It's so easy and quick to set up and hop back into, and it's kind of cool that there's just no like we win or we lose thing. It's just we're making decisions
Play the
that
game.
do stuff together. So we love it.
Yeah, it's a solid one. I've played this one. It's a three-player game. I've debated diving into the other half solo because it has like two sides to the board.
Yeah.
But it's enjoyable.
I do think it's really cool that it comes with two playthroughs. Whereas like, Charterstone, you could buy the recharge pack or whatever, but this is just straight up like, here are two playthroughs in a box, and I think that's pretty smart.
Yeah, my one critique there is I was more excited for the second playthrough until I finished the first playthrough, and then I didn't feel like I'm gonna make different choices, obviously, but I almost feel like now I'm being pushed to different choices. Like it's,
Yeah.
I'm still excited about it. It's a good one.
I think with a lot of like, I mean, this is essentially a legacy game, but it like feels a bit lighter. I think with a lot of legacy games, so like Clank Legacy is my favorite game experience in my life. We played through it, we loved it, it was incredible. And then, it says at the end you've got your own custom Clank game. And the drive or the ambition to like play that is like Charterstone, Clank, like pretty much every legacy game like that. I'm kind of like, I would
Yeah.
maybe play the next like Clank Legacy has a second one. I'd probably play that, but we've only ever played in years one time of like the big massive new Clank board we have. So
I think anything that builds exploration and discovery into the model, as soon as you
yeah,
remove that, it feels like kind of touched upon this a little bit with like the Lord of the Rings trick taking game. Like I'm less likely to dive into a scenario. I want to play through the story, so to speak.
totally,
But yeah, it's pros and cons of game design. You have to like pick your lane as far as who you're targeting and how you're trying to market your game.
100%. All
My
right,
number
hit me with your
three
number three.
is one of my favorites. Honestly, I'm almost wondering whether this should be my number two. Do I change my list now on the fly?
Wow, an
I don't think
audible
I'm going to.
mid.
I don't think I'm going to. No, we're gonna stick it as we're gonna keep it as is. But I could be wrong here. I could be wrong. My number three is my favorite game from Inside Up Games, and that's Kalypso. Kalypso was such a fun game. I love this one. It is a game you can play cooperatively or competitively. I will say the competitive mode I think is good, but like I'd rather play Planet Unknown, and there's a reason I'm saying Planet Unknown. The cooperative mode is where this game shines. It's basically a game which you're going to be drafting polyomino tiles, and again, potentially playing cooperative competitive. We have these polyomino tiles, really more T tiles for the most part, but then they have other shapes as well, and you're placing it down onto this seaboard. And the competitive mode is you usually draft tiles, and then you try to like place them down, a whole bunch of things going on. It's all good. It's a genuinely good game. It's just the competitive, the cooperative mode to me is where it shines because you're playing the survival game. You have to keep escalating the resources you have. You have these different challenges you're going through that you're constantly trying to grow out the board, and there's this kind of real sense of collaboration as you're like, oh, I can place this here. Well, then I can place that, and then we're going to be able to take a building, put it on the board. That's going to give us a new place to put a person. Meanwhile, I grab this net. You grab that fish. Go ahead and get some fish because we need more and more food. Like, get some plants planted. Like, there's all these things happening, and that sense of teamwork is so strong as you're like, let's make this work. We can stay ahead of our needs, but we have to work together. I have had so much fun with this one. I'm very much looking forward to the final version.
This, as a little bit of a spoiler for the other video, was like probably about number 12 of my anticipated list, so it didn't quite make the top 10, but it looks awesome. I think Inside Up is doing a great job with a lot of the titles they're putting out. It looks really cool, but I just couldn't put them all in. This list is interesting, this played one, because it's kind of random what you and I have played or not, and
Yeah.
there are just some games I haven't played. So I would imagine, based on what I've heard of that game, that if I had played it, it probably would have been on this list. I just haven't played it. So my number three was also in the hot game section at RageCon, and it's a game that I'm currently in the middle of filming a how to play for, or on my channel I call them Rip Up the Rules. And that is a game from Grand Gamers Guild called Kokeshi, and it's made by Igor Knop and Andre Taruya. I think I'm getting those names correctly. Anyways, they're the same people that made that Aya game. Aya, however you say it.
Oh. Okay.
Kokeshi is like, I think it's super cool. It's not, it's light in the sense of time and teach. Like you can kind of get playing and play it in 40 minutes to an hour. Depends if they're new people or what. If there aren't new people, if you're playing a two-player game with people who know it, it could be 25 minutes, which to me usually is kind of a turnoff because I'm like, is there really enough to sink your teeth into? I think the components are really cool. The tiles, the darkest one, I think is the darkest tile. I think is hard to read, so I'm not, I have a little bit of a beef with that. But the tiles are really cool. How they stack on your board, and the cascading effects. Like you're just building this cool engine where you're shooting these dolls up these tracks and trying to be the best artisan of these Kokeshi dolls. It's funny. Kokeshi is one of those, when you play games and you learn a word you would have never learned unless you're into board games. Kokeshi is definitely one of those words for me. But so anyways, you're making these dolls and yeah, I think it has enough of that like engaging engine build, drafting choice to make it exciting and strategic and thoughtful. But then it's not like a 3-hour game, which sometimes I just like to have a game that's a little bit shorter that I could play with people who aren't hardcore into games, but still feels exciting enough as you build that up. It's got a little bit of variability by flipping over your player boards in the main board to change a few things up, but that's not a ton of variability. Probably one of my main concerns about this would be that, after a certain number of plays, you might start to feel a little automated or you don't have enough new choices. So I wonder if maybe one day they'll add in some more tiles or expansion or whatever. But I like Kokeshi a lot. I think it's a really cool game.
Yeah, your last point is how I felt about it. I thought it was very fun. I really enjoyed it. I only played it on Board Game Arena, just worth noting that. But I played it several times on BGA, and I thought it was really compelling the way actions cascade. It's just very satisfying, feel-good moments. My biggest concern after a few plays was that, like, is this variable enough, or have I done the engine? But it is a satisfying engine.
Yeah, and I love BGA for a lot of reasons, and it makes it so that I can play games all the time and check out games that I don't have a copy of or whatever. Kokeshi isn't some deluxe made game, but the tactile, like those tiles, I don't know what they are, like acrylic or something. But anyways, they're cool enough that I think probably if someone played this for the first time or two in real life over BGA, it probably would be like, oh, like they'd probably like it a little bit more. But yes, I agree. I don't know if it has the shelf life without adding some more
Well,
variability.
the other factor as well is, especially because of shelf life concerns, BGA can make it easy to dive into a game multiple times quickly, that
Yeah.
as opposed to playing in real life might take, a few weeks to get those games stable that much. And so that can also change how you view it.
Yeah, it was for sure. And it was cool at RageCon. I would just so they had me hosting a bunch of games, but then just kind of doing some teaching in the hot game section. And so Kokeshi was in there. So since I'm like halfway through making the how to play video, I felt pretty set up well to teach it. And so I would just wander around. I got to teach it to a few people, and it's cool just seeing people have a lot of fun with a game like that. That again, yeah, I agree. If you're 10 games in, you might be like, I don't know, like I'm kind of doing the same thing over and over. So yeah.
My number two is one that I've mentioned already in a few videos, and I need to really review it at this point because I find sometimes I get excited about a game, but like I try to get more and more plays in before I review something. So there's sometimes
Yeah.
a gap between when I'm telling people how excited I am versus when the review comes out. So add this to the list of me telling you how great I think Six Sojourns is. Six Sojourns is by Red Raven Games. I believe at Gencon they're for the first time releasing the retail edition, I think. But they had the crowdfunding version a while ago. The retail version is a smaller box. Full disclaimer: I have the crowdfunding version, so I don't know the full differences, but my experience is definitely there. I think it's primarily more maps and slightly deluxified components. I think is the difference, but don't quote me on that. But Six Sojourns is a game that takes 9 actions to play. It's basically an enhanced version of 8 Minute Empire, which is a game that I already very much enjoyed, but I thought that I wanted a bigger experience out of it at that point. In fact, actually, I think I mentioned Six Turns yesterday, and well, my yesterday. Who knows when this day is now? But it's a game where you're taking 9 actions and you're drafting cards, and those cards are going to be everything you do in the game, from the set collection, from how you move around the board, and you're trying to be mindful of how opponents are spreading and how you're spreading, and there's such a tension between, well, I know I want that card because I need to get control of the oceans, I need to get those boats out, but I also need the set collection. Meanwhile, this card's going to give me an income at the beginning of the round, and I need income because it's early game. This card's going to give me an extra free move action every turn, but it's going to cost me 4 coins. Can I afford to give up 4 coins? Everything is a decision in these 9 core actions you take, as well as not just what card you take, but how you use. Okay, great, I have 4 movement, and I could put a boat down. Where do I put the boat? How do I use the movement? Everything matters as you try to position yourself for maximum area control in a game that plays in 45 to 60 minutes and gives you a gameplay experience of a 2-hour game.
Yeah. I watched your video yesterday where you were talking about this, and also where you gave me a really cool shout out. So thanks again for that. Um, uh, you've been so kind and supportive to me. But this is one of those, as you were talking about it, and when I've heard other people talk about it, it's one of those games that I'm just kicking myself that I haven't played yet. And now that we're talking about it, I am rethinking my anticipated list because I think somehow I maybe missed adding this to my anticipated list. So, but I don't know if I'll go change that before we record that video. But I'm a huge Red Raven fan. I think Ryan Lockett does incredible work. My favorite game I've played of his is Near and Far. I played through the whole campaign mode, but
Nice.
yeah, six Sojourns, how do you say? Looks like a little bit different than some of the other titles, but in like a lot of cool ways. Like you said, it looks like it really packs a punch for a game that doesn't take up quite as much time. And so I am a little frustrated myself that I haven't played this yet, but definitely that's been on my to play radar. There are just so many games, so it's hard to get to all of them.
Yeah. I mean, I've had that. I want to say I've had it on my shelf since PAX Unplugged last year. I want to say, which
Yeah.
means it's been sitting here for 6 months before I got it played, and that's nice. Happens. Sometimes you get games tabled right away. Other times they're kind of around, and I was like, I could have been playing this for the past 6 months. I could have been playing this.
I think about sometimes when people talk about favorite games, I think most people just think about like, do I like this game or not? And in general, that's probably 90% of it. But I sometimes think about external factors to why I might like a game or not. And maybe this is, I don't know, maybe other people resonate with this or not. But I think someone like Ryan Lockett, who does the game design, the art, writes all the stories, and runs a publishing company, is someone that I just admire and also am frustrated with at the same point. He's the type of guy that when you're in high school and he's in your class, you know all the girls are going to like him. So you're kind of like, well, he can transfer schools or whatever. Um, just and so none of that really matters in a sense, but having, connected with Ryan a bit, he's such a great guy and he does all this stuff. It actually makes me like enjoy these games even more because I'm just impressed by the art and the creativity. Again, that's an external factor that doesn't really impact gameplay, but I think stories like that or people like that really inspire me. So yeah, like I said, it kind of draws me into his games even more, and I'm even more likely to support or want to hop in on games like that. No, no.
Yeah.
Funny story. I think he looks like Nick from Bitewing Games and at Dice Tower West. Um,
I hear
I
that. I hear that. I see the similarity.
Here's one of the interesting. Sorry, I got to get to my number two, but one of the interesting factors about me, there's this thing called aphantasia, and people just call it facial blindness, and I'm somewhere on the aphantasia spectrum. So when I say two people look alike, sometimes people are like, no, they don't, Ryan, you're wrong. But
No, they. I see where you're coming from. I'm not. They're not identical, but I understand. I can easily see someone seeing one at one convention, seeing the other next convention, and the confusing the two.
well, it's not like I've hung out with either of them a ton in person, but it was at Dice Tower West. I walked up to Nick from Bitewing. I was like, "Oh, are you demoing Songs of Silveranth here?" And he just looked at me. He's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, and it was this awkward moment. He's like, "I'm Nick from Bitewing." I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But apparently, Nick was on this thing on Dice Tower, and Tom kept calling him Ryan as well. So that made me feel a little bit. Number two, last year at which one? Gencon. I got invited to demo the Game Makers, and it was a really cool experience because I played it with Andrew Stiles and this other channel husband-wife combo called Terradice, and
Oh, nice. I know them. They're great.
yeah, great people.
Speaking
And
of which, I could make the argument that they look. Paradise looks like Nick from Bitewing, or whatever, or more like Ryan.
okay, I'd have to go look at them again. The whole aphantasia thing is like a trip because I couldn't even
Pull them
tell
up.
you what
Pull
they
them
look
up.
like.
Paradise. I think he
Yeah.
looks a little bit similar.
Okay. Oh, that's a problem then. They're just you get them all together, and I'll be like, I don't know. I'm the type of person that if there's a police lineup, and they're like, which one? I'd be like, they all look the same to me. But, anyways, part of it was a really cool experience. We played on this like forklift table thing, and Jay had gone like all these content creators to come demo the game and had got them to fill out a form in advance. I'm assuming you probably played this and said, what's your favorite game? And so I said, I just picked Lisboa at that point, which would be one of my favorites. And he had a card prepared for each of us, which I still have kicking around somewhere. And so I got my Lisboa game card, which was really cool. This game to me is like just it's hard. Simultaneous games that work well, I love, because then you eliminate the downtime. And I think that they did a good job of the simultaneous actions where it's working well. It's cool. I love budgeting out how you spend your little forklifts or whatever.
Cards and yeah.
Yeah, how you do the work. And then kind of all the different approaches you could take. Like you could focus on that little like puzzly thing with the polyomino tiles. You can focus on the trees. You got to focus on how you're building out your shelf, and you can go for different genres of games. It's definitely a tricky game because as someone who's like passionate about board games, I can math out the good decision I could make, or else I could know that I'm holding Scythe, and I'm like, well, I just want to put Scythe in my collection, which it might be a terrible decision with what I've already done. So that one is pretty tricky, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the different levels of workers, the different amount you can allocate your forklifts, how the whole middle thing turns, all of it works together really well. And I think it's a pretty epic, well done thing. And it's such a cool theme. Like, there's that game, My Shelfie, which is kind of
Yeah.
about collecting board games, but it's abstract in the sense it's not the fact that they win and got all these game titles and you actually use the BGG live ratings to determine ties and all that. I think it's neat. Maybe it's a little bit gimmicky, but I'm here for those types of gimmicks and those types of neat things. So huge fan of the game makers.
Beautiful. My number one actually requires a disclaimer. My number one is Enchanted Ivy. This is the part where I actually forgot to do at the beginning of this video, but Allplay is a channel sponsor. So go to allplay.com, yada, 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 all those things, but genuinely. But it requires a disclaimer because Allplay is currently a channel sponsor. If I ever am very positive about the games or reviewing the games, put them high on a list, you should know that. That said, I love Enchanted Ivy. I have been having so much fun with it. It was part of the Mountain Ghost Legacy crowdfunding campaign. I thought I was excited about Mountain Ghost Legacy. It's a good game. I like it. But Enchanted Ivy was the sleeper hit for me. It is for sure my top 10 solo games of all time. I don't know where it is. I don't think it's number one, but I don't know yet. I have to go over my list and see. But Enchanted Ivy, I have been having so much fun with it. It is a solo puzzle. You could play it with other people and like teamwork it up, but ultimately it's a solo game which you're trying to construct rooms with certain criteria. It does one of my favorite things that solo games do. Previous shout out to Calico, Cascadia, and all those, which is I like it when a solo game is not just like beat your own score or here's this autonomous opponent. I like it when a game's like, okay, now beat this score while doing this and doing that. And you're like, oh, well, that's a mental game. Like, sure, I can get 80 points, but can I get 80 points while getting 15 points from the Ravenskeeper and then 6 points from the Washer? Like, can I do all that? Like, how do I make this all work? Because you're given specific combinations of cards that you're putting into every single puzzle, and so every puzzle has a different combination of what abilities are in play, a specific layout of how you have to structure the cards, and the specific goals and scoring criteria to maximize what you can get. And some of them, like, sometimes I'm able to get them perfectly. There's one or two I still cannot do. I just have not. I've played them like 17 times. I'm like, I want to do it again and again and trying to math it out. But it really requires entering each game with a game plan. Like your first few games, you're just doing stuff, but then you get to a point where like I can't just do stuff. I have to be like, this is what I'm trying to do. This will go here. This will go here. But also, I can't determine the cards and the order they're coming out in. I am absolutely obsessed with Enchanted Ivy. A huge fan of it. And if you're a solo player, I highly recommend it.
This was definitely a game I spent a bit of time looking at for my anticipated list. As someone who's never played it or never seen it in real life, I didn't feel like there was quite enough info online about it for me to determine if it would make my top 10, but it was definitely on my short list for my anticipated. Yeah, it looks cool. And you know what? I think I appreciate your disclaimer, and I appreciate on your channel how you're always like very transparent about, I'm sponsored by these people and all that. At the same time, like, you're sponsored by a game publisher that like you wouldn't be sponsored if you thought they were a terrible game publisher. So of course you're doing sponsorship.
Well,
with
that's
Alpine.
one, but the thing I also try to point out is like sometimes I remember like there was random shout out. I remember there's one time where I think I gave Brink from Ivy Studios 5 out of 5. And then they were like, oh yeah, well, Board Game Co. Like, I hope we cash that check or whatever it is. And I was like, first of all, no, it wasn't sponsored content, but like, where were all the other checks for all the other games I covered? Like, as much as I love Enchanted Ivy, and as much as I do think Allplay puts out a lot of good games, they've also put out just as many games that are not for me. They put out so many games they're bound to. Enchanted Ivy happens to be my favorite game from them, I'm pretty sure. And it's just a shame that that happened after the sponsorship as opposed to before the sponsorship.
Yeah. Yeah, no, anyways, I always appreciate that, but Yeah, unfortunately, looking through a list of 600 games, I can only spend so much time digging into some. So now that you've put this, I can't believe this is your number one. I wouldn't have guessed that.
I love it.
Um, I am, yeah, I'm pretty intrigued. If there's a, maybe you can teach it to me at Gen Con if there's a copy.
Happily.
My number one is, so I like all kinds of games. There are lots of cool games I like in the world. My heart probably sings the loudest when a big crunchy Euro game comes out with a cool theme. And so Orloj, I don't know, the subtitle is
Yeah.
like the Prague astronomical clock or whatever, clock. Not that'd be a funny theme, a game about crocs from Prague. Do you guys in the U.S. you must say Prague?
Prague.
How do you say? Okay,
I
I
say
think
Prague, but never trust me.
yeah. Well, in Canada, that's a funny thing. We say drama, pasta, garage instead of like drama. But anyways, Prague, whatever. Orloj. Uh, it was. I had wanted to play it in 2025 so badly because if I had, it would have been on my top 10 games of 2025. It's just like I don't know. To me, it's just one of those incredibly well done Euro games where you've got this really cool action selection system with the clock spinning in the middle. Have you played this one, Alex?
I have not. I want
Okay.
to.
Yeah, so the clock in the middle turns and it rotates and it changes the actions and there's like an inner clock and an outer clock and so they line up. So it's a cool action selection system. So that's already there. The workers stay on there, so there's some kind of like almost blocking. It's not that interactive, but it really just changes and shapes how the action selection works throughout the game. And then from there, you have a lot of different things you can go after and do. There's some tracks you need to climb up. There are different, I don't remember all the terms and names from the game, but there are different like little characters and guys that you kind of add, and you're building out this. Building out a tableau of some of them. You've got your own player board where you're upgrading your production. You've got this clock that you're trying to put back together. There's just a lot of things going on. But in a way that, I mean, it's a heavy game, but in a way that I think you can understand, hey, here are some things I can do. Here's some options I could take, and here's what I could go for. Um, when I first got excited about it, I'd heard some people say, I don't know if it hits as well as I'd hoped it would. So I was kind of going into it like unsure if it would be cool or not. But I played it, and it would be one of those games where I'd happily, right after I play a game, sit back down and spend 3 hours playing it right away again right away because it's yeah it does what you want out of a heavy euro like that. I think the art and the colors is cool, lots going on, and I think you could play it really differently from game to game. Like you could go after these things in the next game. You go after this. I think that's one of the things I value the most when it comes to replayability is multiple paths to victory.
Yeah.
Like I remember back in the day when I was getting really into games, I got Kingsburg and we loved Kingsburg, but after a handful of games, we realized there's one path you have to take every time. So I love that lots of publishers are doing a good job of staying away from that. And I think Orloj, as far as I can tell, seems to balance that and map that out pretty well. So yeah, that's my number one.
Beautiful. Excellent. Well, that has been a list for all of you. This is list one of two. Well, actually, I don't know the order, but probably because I flipped a coin at the beginning, so I probably should do this list one. We'll figure out the order. We'll figure out the videos, but make sure to go ahead and check out Ryan's channel of How I Roll. We'll have links to it down below. This has been a Gen Con recommended list. The anticipation list will be coming soon. And if you need more games to check out, don't forget to check out the BGG page. But that, I think, is everything. Until next time, I'm Alex from Word Game Co. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, man.
And as always, I hope you have a good one.